Okay, so it looks like we're live now.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and mute myself so that I'm not being heard or flipped over.
Okay, I'll do the same thing.
Well, no, you don't need to mute yourself.
Oh, okay.
Because if you mute yourself, nobody's going to hear you.
All right.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay.
All right, Paul, so should we get going here? All right, guys. Welcome to our webinar here. Myself, Stephen, and Paul are on the call, and we just wanted to set up a quick webinar to make sure that everybody was calibrated to 7's. And so we're calling this setting the platform from 7's. And so we're basically just kind of talking about some tips and some tricks of the transition between 15s, which most of us came off of, onto 7's. And so we're just going to go over a few things, some of the new law changes, just some stuff that's highlighted, and then go over some videos. So, our goals for 2018. So we're going to try to calibrate ourselves as close as we can to the World Rugby 7 standard. Again, none of us are on the circuit other than Mike O'Brien, but we all want to be as close as we can to what the goals are and all being on the same page so that we're all refereeing 7's together. And something I just wanted to highlight is the difference between 15s and 7's. And so as we transition from 15s to 7's, make sure that you are having a quicker whistle. The breakdowns are going to be cleaner and faster. Thus, we need to have a quicker whistle on stuff and really set a good standard. Something that's also different is when you go, when you call advantage. Advantage in 15s is a longer phase. In 7's, a lot of the advantage is blowing the whistle, getting the other team back 10 meters, and being able to attack an unorganized defense. And so we'll go over a little bit, just the difference between a penalty advantage and a scrum advantage when those are over, and then just calibrating ourselves onto yellow card foul play. And then just going over some quick things. Steven and I are going to go over just some quick stuff. So this is really high level, 10,000 foot, big picture transition from 7's to 15's. So, stuff that you need to remember is, 7's is fast and furious. You're going to go out, you're going to be running hard. You need maximum effort. You're basically just going to be running for basically, 14 minutes. Quick ball is key. All the teams want quick ball. They all want the ability to, get down, have a quick breakdown, recycle the ball, and play on. We want to penalize things that are only clear and obvious. So you're going to see some situations here where things aren't, maybe 100% clear and obvious. So we want to play on with those, and things that are very clear and obvious, we want to blow it up quickly.
Hey, Tim, I can take the yellow card one. So obviously in 7's, we have a high tolerance. You really want to keep, set a high standard in the beginning of the game. And then, you want to make sure that you keep it until the very last minute. The last thing that you want to let happen is, a player throw the ball away with, 30 seconds left, and, you've checked out. And so you don't give that yellow card when the entire rest of the game, you had that standard. The team feels like they were penalized unfairly. They feel like you didn't set the same standard. So you just want to make sure that, once you set that high standard, you keep it. And, yellow cards are, they're going to come for things like throwing the ball away. If it's a dangerous tackle or something like that, be ready to go to that. If it's finishing off after the try is scored, be ready for those type of situations. In 7's, yellow cards are 2 minutes, and it's more of just kind of a big penalty. So be ready for those type of situations, which means keeping yourself focused at all times. So reduce delays. that's kind of a big one, right? 7-minute halves. So let's think about, we're not having big chats with teams. We're not trying to admonish them. We're really letting themselves figure their own play out. If they want to talk to you as the referee, that's fine. That's on them. But you don't need to be taking their time away. Every extra second that you're talking with them is time that they're not getting to play. So last in this column, stay ball in line. It's a big thing in 7's to be there right as the tackle's happening. And that involves, being up with play. You don't want to be ahead of it. Obviously, if you're ahead of it, the tackle happens, you're going to have to slow down and then get back in line, and, you're going to miss a couple things. So by staying ball in line, we can get to the breakdown first. We can go through our tackle sequence, and we can keep everything, sorted in line pretty well. Kickoffs. So this will be the last one I can do, but kickoffs are just a restart in 7. So you really want to be focused. Don't be worrying necessarily where the ball's going, right? You want to look at guys, or the players on the field. You want to be looking at body positions. You want to be looking at where people set up for the contest. So it's really just about keeping your focus the entire time. Try get scored, go back to center, take a deep breath, do what you need to do personally, but be ready for teams going quick and trying to take advantage of that kickoff as a restart, and not just putting the ball back in play. Teams are going to use that kickoff and are going to contest the ball, and they want to try and get that back just as easily. So Tim, you want to go?
Yeah, just leveraging off that, in terms of set plays, there are more kickoffs than there are going to be for lineouts and scrums probably combined. So kickoffs are really crucial for teams to maintain their advantage as well as their possession. And then the other thing is breakdowns. They're going to be really quick. They're going to be clean. And so you want to have a clear picture in your head of what that breakdown is going to be. And like Steven said, you need to understand your tackle sequence, so that those things are bang, 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 and that picture looks good. If that picture doesn't look good, blow your whistle quick, figure out what's going on, and move on. Maintaining your offsides, really you just it's going to be a quick look up. You're going to make sure people are on that back foot. Remember, we have a new, ruck law or breakdown law that, anybody standing over is essentially a breakdown. A ruck is created, so there's going to be an offside line that's reset. Again, I talked about this earlier, but the advantage is the penalty. So you see an advantage, there's no point in playing a long advantage unless the try is on. If you look up or you look down and there is hands on the deck, or somebody's messing around with that ball, blow the penalty. Don't play an advantage, blow it, get the players back, and move on with things. And then just talking about specifically advantage. Scrum advantage is basically unpressured ball in hand. So you look up, you call, there's a knock on, ball's turned over, the team gets it, and they have an unpressured opportunity to play scrum advantage over. For penalty advantage, it's typically 2 passes. So 2 clean passes, again, unpressured, players look up and have the ability to play ball in hand. That advantage is over.
And I think that's why, a penalty being that quick advantage, or, being better than an advantage, is so instrumental. It's someone running back 10 meters and, making sure it's actually 10 meters, not 6, not 7. We can get into the difference between 9.5 and 10, but people running back 10 meters gives a team enough time and space to really, get something going. So, just be aware of where you are on the field, and be aware of, what your, what type of things you are looking at, and what type of things, the other teams are, putting forward. So on to the next slide. So this is, a lot of the times, we aren't always in the center of a 7's match. So, we have some different jobs that we might be doing throughout a day or throughout a tournament. So, we really just want to work on, a couple of things, and it's something where it might seem simple. You might, say, hey, I can be an AR just fine. But it's 7 minutes, and it really requires, being tuned in and being, checked in the entire time. So, effort, you want to give 100% the entire time. It's a 7-minute game. So this means, if there's a breakaway try, you want to finish off the score. You want to go finish off that run, get in goal, and, make the call. Don't look like you're going to saunter in, 20 meters out, or, that you gave up. You never know what happens. Guys, I've seen guys step out of the back of the in goal. I've seen guys, the ball get, knocked out. I've seen lots of stuff go down, and it's because, fortunately, you put yourself in that situation and you're there to call it. But if you don't put yourself in that situation, by putting 100% of effort in, then, you're going to make a call, and, it could be right, could be wrong, but you're going to have a really hard time selling that to the teams when you're 15 meters away because you stopped running. So it's really just about putting yourself in the right position to make the call and working hard to get there. Positioning. So, 7's is just, it's a different type of game. There's, 8 less people per team on the field. So less bodies. It's a quicker deal. You want to make sure that you are thinking about that. That means, taking different running lines. That means, entering the tackle maybe differently. That means, you aren't necessarily worrying as much about the breakdown if that's what the teams have shown you, is okay for that game. These are all that's the center ref, as an AR, you want to be worrying about doing, you're leading and trailing, right? So you want to be there for the call on the other side of the referee as an AR. You want to make sure that, if there's something going on in a breakdown and the referee is, 5 meters away, because, say it's 7's, you are there to make the call. And that means, again, putting yourself in the right position to make the call, making sure that you're turned on the entire time, and then, backing yourself up. And that's all just about, effort and positioning. Same with in goals, right? So, guys it's a tireless and thankless job. People, you're just running back and forth across the in goal. People think you just stand there and, there's not really much going on. But, I think we've seen through the number of tournaments that we've had, Vegas was, pretty evident in that. And then, when we had the 7's in San Jose, in goal can make a big difference. And if you're not putting in the effort and you're not in the right position, it doesn't look good when, you're trying to say, oh, it was grounded, or no, it wasn't. So, it's really about giving 100% the entire time, 7-minute halves, take a breather at, halftime. But you want to make sure that, so especially as an in goal, you're trailing the ball the entire way across, right? So say the ball's on the complete other side of the field. That's you're still trailing where it's going and where it's coming from. You might do it at different levels, but, you're still completely on top of it, so that when there's a breakaway try in the corner, you're there, the AR's there, and the referee are all there, and there's 3 people that have triangulated themselves to that position, and we can make the right call every single time. So, Tim, you want to go into accuracy?
Hey guys, so just on the accuracy thing, we're really focusing here on what we talked about, having that good picture in your head, understanding what the tackle sequence is. Tackle player goes to the ground, tacklers releasing, ball carriers releasing, and then we have players over the ball. Everybody is on their feet and coming through the gate. All that's going to be very quick, and you need to really get a good picture of what you want to see, and you need to set those standards early. And it's not just early in the game, but it's early in the day, so that the teams all have a good understanding of what's going on throughout the tournament. So something that's changed a little bit, I would say in the past, maybe a couple years, maybe it's been a year or two, but the referees have really shifted towards always playing on the offense, right? So always kind of refereeing to the expected outcome, always, seeing what would happen That's changing a little bit in how we are thinking. It's moving a little bit towards a defensive back, swinging that pendulum back towards the defense, having a little more ability to take a ball, to steal a ball. And so we're going to go over some clips over a fair contest that has changed a little bit. And this is not just 7, this is also 15. So looking at the breakdown and maybe changing a little bit of how we think and how we are understanding the game and refereeing this expected outcome. So again, it's shifting towards this rugby decision versus a technical decision. So sometimes we look at something and maybe we catch something that's technically a little bit wrong, or something that's technically not exactly there. We are trying to shift our minds a little bit towards making a rugby decision. So a player is in a good position over a ball. We're going to reward that defensive player for getting to a good, solid position over the ball. You know, maybe his hand touched the ground. Maybe he came around the gate a little bit, you know, not straight. But in the rugby world, you know, maybe his hand touched the player wasn't, you know, maybe there to ruck over. So we'll show some clips and go over that in a little bit. So we are going to focus now and shift towards looking at some videos. So Steven's going to talk about foul play. I'm going to go over fair contest, and then we'll end on just providing structure and kind of talking about the big picture. So Steven, one thing I noticed too is, Steve, when you talk, it goes to the video. So I don't know how we're going to, sorry, it's going to go to a screen and not to the video. So I don't know how we're going to fix this. Paul, do you know any way we can fix this?
Who has the video clips? Steven?
Nope, Tim does.
Tim does.
Can you just Tim? I think it's.
Then the only way this will work without having Steve's voice pop up like mine is now is to have him talk over the video clips at the same time he's showing the video.
Wasn't that the issue with doing the presenter? Tim
no. So, well, yes. So the controller has control over it. I can switch control over it, but Tim's desktop is the one that's being shared.
Yeah, that's fine. Tim's desktop should be shared.
Right, but you can't. Every time you talk, it comes back to you. So that's what I'm saying. The presenter has to be the one talking.
Right, but more people can speak if he's presenting. Everybody can still speak. So he just needs to be the presenter, and it'll stay on him.
And that's what it is currently.
Okay.
All right, Steven. So what I'll do is we'll show the clip, and then you can talk through it after. Okay. So I'll show the clip, and then you can just talk about your different points, and then I'll kind of add some color into that. Does that work?
Let's do it.
Okay. All right, guys. So the first one we're going to show over foul play is high or dangerous tackles. And in this case, we are just going to show a quick clip here on the seatbelt tackle. So I'll show it, and then Steven will go over and maybe talk about some points of it, as well as just some other issues around dangerous tackles, aka high tackles, stuff like that. So here is a classic clip of a seatbelt tackle. I'll play it twice, and then we can talk through it. So you hear the player comes over the top, essentially prevents the try. We'll watch it one more time. Tripped up, clearly hand coming over. In this case, prevented the try. Joe Burpo correctly presents yellow card, penalty try. All right, Steven, go ahead.
So, guys, the, you see there's an ankle tap, all good. The ball carrier gets up. And so right at 7 seconds, white 15 comes from behind, reaches over the top of the shoulder and brings the player down, right? So we see that a lot from, players that are following behind and, are chasing the other guy down. And so it's a textbook seatbelt tackle that, is foul play, right? He went over the shoulder with intent. And in this instance, the player, committed foul play in the act of scoring, or, would have scored. And so, Joe Burpo, rightly called a penalty try there. I don't have much more. Was there any? I don't see any questions or any issues with that. But Tim, do you anything to add?
Steven, why don't you just quickly talk about high tackles and kind of what the standards are?
Yeah.
Say a player comes in for a tackle, starts high, and then quickly goes down, or is that a yellow card, or is that where are we on that right now?
So guys, player safety is crucial. So any contact above the shoulders is going to automatically be a penalty, and then it's elevated from there, right? So we can get into some other stuff about neck rolls and that, but you just have to look at where was contact and then what went into it. And so you should automatically you should just be working your way up and deciding where it what level it constituted.
All right, sorry. So the next group of stuff we're going to talk about here is foul play in the air. So again, kickoffs, and usually a kickoff, but sometimes off of a kick. So we're going to watch this situation first, where this is a play-on situation. So this is a situation where you see it. Both players are going up. They're both attempting. They both have a fair contest at the ball. And in this case, it's going to be a play on. So I'll play it twice, and then we'll move on. You can see there was nothing really to that, right? Nothing bad. Two players go up, fair contest. Watch it one more time. So they kind of go up, both go for the ball, rightly so, play on. All right. Here's an example where you have a penalty. So this is a penalty only in the air. All right, we'll watch it one more time. I know it's a little choppy, but you can see here that the black player has no clear opportunity for the ball, and he kind of shoulders or nudges the white player in the air. So one more time, black player has no ability to catch the ball and interferes with that player by a little nudge. Player lands on his feet or his legs, not on his back or his shoulder. All right. So here is another play where we see a player not have the ability to catch the ball, not have a fair contest, and the player lands on his back. And so this would potentially be a yellow card.
Hey, Paul, did you see Matt Hederman's comment on YouTube that if you click the Tim's mini screen at the bottom, it'll stop the focus shifting? Maybe, nope, didn't do that.
I did see it. I did not know what he was talking about focus shifting. Let me look into it.
All right, we'll watch this one more time. Player goes up. Red player doesn't have a clear opportunity for the ball and pulls him down. All right, Steven, you're up. Why don't you talk us through foul plays foul play in the air?
So, I mean, guys, it's really just about watching the players. So in this instance, black lifts and, red 16 comes. He's not Cisco had this right. He wasn't looking at the ball. He's looking square at the guys. And, red is not making an attempt to, he's not jumping in the air. He's just, he's affecting black's attempt to play the ball. And, it's just not positive play. So the main thing is just be watching, players on the ground rather than the ball in the air. You watch the ball and you're only going to see the impact point. If you're watching the players, you can see more in terms of, where they are, body positions, and what they're actually attempting to do.
Yep. So here's just another clip. This is more at the international level. So you get a big high kick that comes up, and clearly blue just hits the player, white player falls and lands on his shoulder. So liable for penalty here. Again, blue's coming in, doesn't have a fair play of the ball, runs into white. White lands on their back. The blue player is liable for a penalty, perhaps a card. And then we'll watch it kind of at a different angle. When you watch it at this angle, it's even worse. Goes up, lands right on his shoulder. We'll watch it one last time. I think this is pretty clear. We all know that we're going to blow a penalty here and stop the game. All right, so we are on number 3 here. So finishing off the try scorer. So again, this comes down to effort and being able to get there. So running 100%, big breakaway, you got to get there. You got to get where the try scorer.
Can we go a little more? I mean, I don't know if everyone understands finishing off, but this is when there's a player, who's, they're, in essence, they have scored the try, and then a defending player comes after the ball has been touched down and jumps on them, tackles them, does something, right? And this is really just getting into foul play, and it's dangerous, right? If people are coming in with their cleats up, or people are coming in just unsafe, right? That's where the issue comes in.
Tim or Steven, can I ask you a question first before we move on to that? Can you go over, please, the distinction? Where is the line between a penalty when with regards to competing in the air? Where is the line from penalty only to a yellow card to a possible red card?
Oh, good question. So, I mean, I guess I would say if you've decided that a team didn't compete in the air, or that they didn't compete for the ball, then the receiving team, the receiving player, if they land on their feet, with contact in the air, then you can go penalty. If they land on any part of their body other than, so basically if they land on their head, neck, shoulders, or if they land, so say the first thing to hit the ground is their hands, but their hands would have, if you take their hands away, they would have landed on their head, neck, shoulders, or, upper back. Those instances are a red card. So anything other than those, you can go yellow, but, we want to use that as the guideline for, foul play in the air. And guys, I mean, it's something where, I don't think anybody, you're not trying to affect the game, and you're not trying to, make it about you or anything. But again, you didn't make the decision to not compete or to, do something dangerous. So it's really just about setting those standards to a high level and keeping them the entire time. So, it's all good if if someone does something that requires a red card, but be ready to do that, again, if, the other team does the same or something. So, it's about looking at where the person landed, and then again, if they did land on their hands, take hands out of it, and where would they have landed after that?
The key is how the player landed, and it's similar to a tip tackle. If he's landing on his lower back and hip area, it's considered a yellow card. But if it goes to upper torso, shoulder, neck area, then you're thinking red. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So I think, Tim, why don't we go to, unless I don't see any other questions on YouTube, why don't we go to the finishing off, and I think I can still speak while you're doing it. So right, in this one, so we see the blue 5 running with the ball. There's a Chico player comes from behind. 12 is all good, but if we stop the clip, right as she scores, then red comes in after the fact, right? So ball's been touched down. There's a dangerous play in the end goal, and so red, after the fact, comes in and hits blue. So, I mean, that's the sort of thing that where we're looking for. The red player came in, dove on top, and hits her with a knee, and that's something that as a referee, you need to put yourself in the position to be there to make that call. So that means not giving up. That means not stopping, at the 10-meter line or something. That means being there the entire way through, that you can see that the ball was touched down and that the red player came in after the fact with a knee. And so, as a reminder, right? So the try's been scored. So we'll have the conversion, right? There is no penalty try in this situation. But the restart would be if you deem, right, it'd be a yellow card, and then it'd be a restart on the 50 to the team that just scored. So make sure, that you explain that to everybody, that they don't think, that they're waiting for a kickoff or something. But, you want to go through these different sequences in your head, and that involves, again, it all goes back to positioning and effort and being there to make the right call. Tim, anything to add?
I don't have anything to add. I think that's pretty accurate. I mean, this one is less, a lot of times for me, it's a conversation with the player. Hey, you can't do that. Let's make sure we play fairly here. And then you have the player that's going in that scores the try, oftentimes wants to center it. And then you have another player that's coming in trying to prevent that from being centered. And then you get kind of a collision. So it can be kind of a gray line. But just realize that, we're trying to look out for player safety here. A player's going in, they're trying to dot it down. Another player kind of just takes the cheap shot. And so a lot of it is timing, I think.
So I think next we're going to get into time wasting. And so, guys, this is folks, this is a big deal in 7's. So, with games only being 7 minutes, Tim, we pause it for a minute? With games only being 7 minutes, we really want to make sure that we are, as referees, we're giving both teams an equal opportunity. And, so that means, if, especially in 7's, we want to calibrate ourselves as, NorCal refs to the same standard. We can't have, from week to week, different standards in terms of, well, one ref didn't call, when they threw the ball away, and one ref didn't or did. We all need to be on the same page about time wasting. And so, it's a real mix between management and judgment. And so, immediately if someone throws the ball away, you should be thinking yellow card. And so that really just goes to the profession. It's a professional foul. It's teams who, they're not happy and they decide that they're going to just throw the ball away. And what that does is that takes away time and the space from, a team that might have had a penalty or, might have been in a better position. So, as referees, we just need to be looking for teams who throw the ball away or who, don't give the ball back after, running out of bounds, something like that. So
I think this is a hard one too, because we see it so much, especially at the lower levels. And again, it's the gray line between management and managing with a card. But I think, especially for the higher levels, especially for the, the teams that are going to be competing at that national level, they have to have that standard set, because when they go to nationals, they're going to get pinged with this. They're going to get pinged with throwing the ball away. And we, as referees locally, aren't giving those teams justice because we haven't calibrated them to that correct standard. So, let's say, Golden Gate is trying to qualify and, they throw the ball away and, they get away with it 2 or 3 times. And we're like, oh, it's okay. We're just local here. We're not on the circuit. When Golden Gate goes to nationals and they do the same thing, they roll that ball away just a few meters and they take away the advantage of their team. That player gets yellow carded. It changes a lot of their ability to play.
And I think it really goes back to guys getting buy-in. I mean, if everybody's calling the same thing, then, you know, we as referees get a lot more, you know, teams just get it, right? I mean, there's no having to explain. There's not, you know, people that are giving you a hard time because you called something differently. So, I mean, it not only does it help the game, but it helps our fellow referees, you know, enjoy it more. It helps everybody in the long run. So
and we'll just show this clip now. So we'll show this clip here. So this is a player, and you can see that it's pretty mundane.
So in this, it's Kutztown versus, I think, Western Washington. You're going to see there's a penalty against Black. And then as they're running away, the guy picks the ball up and throws it. So we'll watch it one more time.
He doesn't even throw it. He just drops it. But still, he's slowing their advantage down. All the players are back and ready to go now.
It takes, you know, 8 meters away, and stop it at about 8 seconds, Tim. And, you know, we're gonna see the guy throw the ball away, and then, you know, the time and space just gets taken from White. You know, he has to get the ball. I mean, he made an effort to not just leave it there. You know, guys, everything can just be settled if you just leave the ball there. So I think that's a really easy thing. Or, you know, someone accidentally kicks the ball as you run away, or, you know, they roll it slightly. So again, it's a mix between management and best judgment. You know, first game of the tournament, maybe you have a word, right? But then after that, after we've set high standards, you know, then we just, you know, we have to give yellow cards, right? We have to make sure that everybody understands that, you know, there are consequences if you're going to, you know, do things that are professional fouls. And then, you know, just let them know early.
And again, this is not just for a penalty turnover. This is also for sideline. So ball goes out into touch. And obviously there's other rules around a quick throw, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, a player gets taken in a touch. The other team's trying to get that ball. Player on the ground that just went out of touch slows it down or throws it away or kind of kicks it away so that the other players can't get it to restart quickly. That is also a yellow card.
So we can get to intentional knock-ons.
Yeah, so this is a big area, guys, and this is a really tough one. And so Stephen will talk about this, but this is going to be one of the bigger this is kind of one of the bigger changes, especially in 7's. You see it a lot more, and we have 3 or 4 clips here that show it. So Stephen, go ahead. Sorry.
So there's before or I guess, you know, Tim, you can load the clip up, but I mean, really, guys, it's a risk versus reward situation. So, you know, teams oftentimes in 7's, right, it's really flat, you know, guys are, you know, making line breaks, this and that. It's really quick teams. So it's a real risk reward situation. And this is what World Rugby is really preaching, that, you know, if you're going to stick your hand out and you're going to try and catch the ball, if you don't catch it, you're probably going to get a yellow card. You know, it's like guys are, you know, the team might say, oh, well, I had a hand on it, or, you know, I had 2. I mean, it's really a situation where by doing that, you kill the other team's opportunity, and, you know, it's not a positive play that oftentimes comes from this type of from this penalty. So I think in this one, yeah, this is NDC versus Fordham. We don't have the audio, but if you were watching this game live, you know, the scrum half throws the ball, the last man at the line out, you know, he goes and he knocks the ball down, right? Rather than go for the tackle, rather than go for the 10, you know, he just plays the ball. And even, you know, if you're watching this, the announcers, everybody bought in and everybody said, oh, we think it's going to be a yellow card, because everybody was playing to the same level and everybody understood what the referees were calling. And, you know, rather than make the positive play, which would have been the tackle, you know, or moving on to the fly half, the last receiver for blue just goes and knocks the ball out. So why don't we watch it one more time, and then, so right there you see blue just not making a positive play. So if Tim will go back to 6 seconds, you see, again, that last receiver, rather than going for the tackle on 9, you know, he just sticks his hand out, right? Hands down. He's not trying to, you know, doesn't have a legitimate chance at intercepting the ball. He's just trying to disrupt the pass. it's a yellow card. I mean, we as referees need to all calibrate to the same level, and just we need to be ready to give cards. You know, would have been a difference. So I think in this one, this is Wisconsin versus maybe Grand Canyon. Black comes. Actually, why don't we watch it once and then I'll. So Mike O'Brien on the whistle. So now he's going to reach into his pocket and give the yellow card. So in this, Black comes and instead of going for the tackle, takes the lazy route and slaps the ball out of White's hand. I mean, it's the same thing, guys. It really just comes back to being kind of taking that cheap move. And let's see, Matt Hederman has asked, in 7's, would you ever go penalty only for an intentional knock-on? Matt, I think it really depends on kind of the situation, right? So, for instance, you know, if there's a defending player that just gets telegraphed the ball, maybe not expecting it, you know, in a positive position, didn't go for that cheap shot, and, you know, then just knocks the ball on, sure, we can go penalty only. But I think, again, like you have to be, it's a situational thing. And I mean, I've been in too many games where I went penalty only in the last 30 seconds and it should have been a yellow card. And that, you know, could have been the difference between the game, you know, between who won the game and not. So I would just say, you know, it's about setting your standards, and it's about, you know, making sure that everyone, you know, is on the same page with that and realizes, you know, that it's a risk versus reward. So, you know, if the guy's going to stick his hand out for it, you know, you really hope he catches it, or else, you know, he's going to be in the bin for 2 minutes. Tim, any thoughts on, you know, penalty only for an intentional knock? Well, sorry, let me clarify. I guess if it's an intentional knock, no. If it's an intentional
let me ask you a question here, Stephen. So let's say that we watched this clip that we just watched. Let's say that it was clearly yellow, or that Black, you know, in our mind, we thought that Grand Canyon was just making a tackle and their hand got in the way. How would you penalize that, or what would the action be there?
Sure. I mean, if it's a knock on and a tackle, then, you know, go for the scrum or something. But I guess just to play devil's advocate, in Matt's comment, he said for an intentional knock on. I guess by definition, an intentional knock on should be a penalty, or in this case, you know, would be more. So, I mean, use your best judgment. If you think the knock on came in the tackle, you know, just play the scrum. Unlucky, no big deal. But again, if it's something that the guy was sticking his hand out, trying to disrupt the pass rather than, you know, play the tackle, then, you know, you need to act accordingly.
All right, let's watch another clip real quick. Stephen, you got anything to say about this one?
Oh, sorry about that. Go ahead.
Why don't you talk us through this?
Yeah, so I think in this one, guys, you see I think you don't want to get him confused, but orange is defending. Again, he just kind of jumps in the way of the ball. And, you know, instead of making that positive play where it would have been the tackle on, you know, maybe 2, you know, just jumps in the way of the ball.
And in this situation, you know, you're looking at a 2-on-1. You're going to see a lot of these where it's a 2-on-1, right? I mean, this player beats that player, ball goes to hand, you know, not likely, it's not, you know, 100% a try, but, you know, you have the overlap on the outside. Instead, this player decides to bat down the ball and kill it. So that team needs to be reprimanded and is liable for sanctions. So again, you'll see a lot of these where the defensive player is under pressure. It's a 2-on-1, and instead of you know, making a clean tackle or trying to go for the clean pick, they're kind of halfway in between and they bat the ball down. So he kind of bats for it. No way he's going to catch that. No way he's going to do anything you know, positive out of that. His hands are coming down, you know. Yellow card there. All right, Steve, anything else you want to add on the intentional knock?
No, guys, I don't have much more. I think again, it's about this presentation, and what we're really trying to do is make sure that everybody is on the same page for all of these different facets of the game. And it's I understand, there's different competitions, different levels, but just because you might be at, you're not at a qualifier, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't be refereeing the same way, setting the same high standards, giving the teams the same good type of game. I mean, and that's what we as referees are there to do. Just because it's not, a qualifier doesn't mean that we should be lowering our standards. We should be offering, players the best game that we can give them, and that really means, giving them, cracking down, doing these sort of things to raise the level of the rugby, so that guys can really get the best that they can. So I would just say, stay on that, keep standards high, and that goes for all of these things that we've done so far and the ones that we're still going to work on.
All right, cool, guys. Well, I'm going to quickly just go over fair contest. And so in fair contest, the things that we really want to focus on here is rewarding dominance. What is the rugby outcome? And making sure that we are kind of looking at the situation very quickly and clearly and making sure we understand that picture. So I'm going to show a couple clips here and just go over, fair contest. So the instance is going to come at this next breakdown here. All right, so we just saw it, okay? So what we see is black make a little bit of a break, runs away from their support, and green is over the ball, is in a good position to steal that ball, and goes for that ball. So that's a situation where we want to reward green for being there quickly on her feet and in a good position to steal that ball. We'll watch it one more time. You can see it develop. Black gets away just a little bit on their feet there. So penalty, turnover, green ball, play on.
And 7's, guys, is really just about doing your tackle sequence on steroids, right? So it's about being quick, but being efficient and making sure everything's good. So in that instance, the green tackler got away. The green, jackal came in, had all the rights to go and play the ball, and the black ball carrier just didn't release. So, I mean, it's going through your tackle sequence, making sure that you have that down and understanding, what you're looking for, and then what the outcome again. So going back to expected outcome, you see as you're running behind this black player, you say, okay, they've ran away from their space, they've ran away from their support. What do we think is going to happen? Well, chances are they're going to turn the ball over if green's in a good spot. So it's, using all these different tools that we're going through to make sure that you set yourself up to be in the right position to make the call.
So just playing devil's advocate, I know when I watched this the first time, something that I thought was maybe green didn't come through the gate. Okay, so we'll watch it one more time. And, did green come through the gate? So it could be debated, but the thing here that I want to bring back is was it clear and obvious? Was it clear and 100% obvious that everybody in the stands was like, whoa, that green player came from the side? No, I don't think so. So in this one, we're gonna play the expected rugby outcome and reward that player for their dominance in this case. Here's another situation. Blue is not there to get it. White is there in a situation where they can poach the ball. Watch it one more time. And so just I guess what I would say about this clip is, in my mind, a year ago, 2 years ago, 100% of the time, I think it would be a penalty to blue, and play would move on. Blue would be in possession, but things are shifting. That pendulum is shifting back a little bit toward the defensive side. That white player is in a good position, a good strong position to steal the ball. Blue was there a little bit late. Therefore, we're going to reward white. Steven, anything to add for that?
I have nothing to add.
Okay, we'll watch it one more time. All right, and so this clip is was sent around the USA referee group for a little while. This is Danny Barrett, where he gets his hands on the ball in a good jackal position, and he gets the turnover. So we'll watch it a couple times, and then we'll maybe discuss a few things. Steven, you have anything to add on that one? Anything to comment about?
No, I mean I think this one was milked till all the way in the end on the online and stuff. But I mean, guys, it was going through a tackle sequence. Danny Barrett was the tackler. He released the ball carrier. Was in a strong position, and did not get the ball. So I mean, it's
Paul, do you have any comments? How would you ref this? What do you see here, and what's your thoughts on this specific instance?
My first reaction was that, and I was here for the game, I felt that Danny was trying to bait the penalty. I felt he was going for the body and not the ball, and I would still argue that this would not have been a penalty. I mean, 2 years ago, this would have because if you rewind it and go back to it, does he go for the ball or does he go for the body? And I think that's the issue. These hands aren't even his hands right there. Okay, they're grasping on the body, and you can't. I don't think you can grab the ball with one arm when the other arm is around the body, and so that's always been a hard one for me because of that. And we're seeing it more and more, and the momentum is swaying towards the offense. But part of me says that he's not in a good position to jackal the ball by going for the body like that. And I know the interpretation of the referees from the international side. I just don't particularly think in that particular case that he was going for the ball. He was looking for the penalty.
I would agree with Paul here. Watching this over and over and over, I would agree with Paul. I mean, right here, he's in no way going to get that ball. I mean, his left arm is under the body. There's no way he's in a position to steal that ball. Yes, he's in a good body position, but there's no way he's going to get that ball. So, this is kind of a call or a breakdown that's kind of debatable on many ends. But I would still referee this in the way that Paul is talking about. I'd almost do a play on here. If Danny Barrett slowed down the ball, then maybe even a penalty to him. But he's in no position to get this ball. He grabs the player, throws him down, great position, but he's not going for the ball. I mean, he's just holding on to the guy. I'm trying to milk a penalty, trying to get it, slow the ball down. So that's my opinion there.
And we're seeing it more and more. And there's several teams around the Bay Area that openly teach it to try to get the penalty. And the argument is that you can always go back to the issue of, is he really going for the ball?
So just kind of going over fair contest, I think it's warranted to talk about neck rolls, okay? So when you have a fair contest, you're going to get more push and pull at the breakdown. You're going to get more people at the breakdown, more contesting over the ruck. Therefore, you're going to start seeing people use the neck to ruck people over, pull people off. So we'll just show a couple instances here of neck rolls and things that you should be very clearly tuned to seeing. So again, there's going to be 3 neck rolls here. So we'll just go over them twice, and then we can talk about it at the end, and then we're going to finish up here. So pretty clear there. GCU comes in, trying to get that player off, grabs him by the head and pulls him down, wrenches him down. So we have an offensive neck roll here. Same game, different situation. Defensively trying to get over. Players there a little bit late. Whoops, sorry. Sorry. Same situation. White is there a little bit late. Black's there to steal, wrenching the head, pulling it off.
So guys, let's go into, I think we should go into kind of the difference with neck rolls and move by the necks and stuff like that. So, you know, in these clips, you know, the couple of the refs, they ask, you know, so whether or not you call it as the center ref or as an AR, if you make the call, couple of things. So, you know, there's a difference between whether a player was moved by the neck, and in which case that'd be a yellow card, or if there was just, you know, contact made with the head or, you know, the neck, in which case that would be a penalty. So we really want to make the distinction, you know, as referees, as ARs, if we're going to, so as an AR, if we're going to call something in, you know, okay, first off, do we have the color and number? And then, you know, what happened? So, you know, red with arms around the neck moved blue. Okay, then we as referees should cue that to say if they moved blue, then that would be, you know, a yellow card. If we're going to say that there was just, you know, hands around or something, that there was contact, then, you know, we can go penalty only. But we really want to just be queued up for, you know, what happened. Not only was there, you know, contact with the neck or, you know, a neck roll, but, you know, where and how.
We'll watch one more little sequence here on a neck roll. All right. So just wrapping things up, you know, the whole purpose of this, again, is to provide structure for the players, right? Players are only out there for 14 minutes. We really need to give all of our effort. We really need to set a standard early. We need to run as much as we can. We need to be on the same page as referees. We need to be on the same page as in goals and ARs to provide the teams kind of a solidified standard. So not just within the game, but throughout the day and throughout the 2018 season. So with that, I'll let Steve kind of close out here. Paul, if you have anything else to say, and then maybe answer any questions that come.
Guys, my one, you know, closing thought would just be that, you know, we're looking so that everybody's on the same page and making sure that, you know, as a society, we are calibrated to the same level so that, you know, what one referee is calling at one tournament is the same that a different referee is calling at a different tournament. So, you know, that just requires everybody to buy in. And once we as referees have done that, then the teams will start buying in. So it's, you know, you're really just helping grow the game, and it's, you know, really all just trying to make rugby a more positive experience and, you know, really raise the level of competition that, you know, we in NorCal have had for a long time, and making that, you know, letting that continue, you know, on into the future.
With that, Paul, if you have any closing statements or you want to mention anything or talk about anything, you're up.
So I think what we presented for the referees. I'd like to do the same presentation before nationals, but have the target audience be the players and the coaches, and invite coaches and players to participate as well. So we'll send it out through the social media networks, but get it out to the clubs as well. just because we all have responsibility for the game, not just the referees, but the players and coaches as well. And it's our, we want to have more engagement with the coaches and the players. So I think it'd be a good opportunity to have that. So probably, let's see, probably not this coming Wednesday, but the following Wednesday we'll do it for the players. So that that'd be what weekend would that? What would that be? June 13th, June 28th or 27th. We'll plan on doing it for players.
I don't know that I can do that, but we can talk offline.
Okay.
I mean, I think regardless, right, we're more than happy to send this to them in the meantime.
Yep.
But I think there's going to be different questions and stuff. Again,
I
guys,
can send the video out to the players and ask for their input and questions.
Yeah, I mean, this shouldn't be a secret. I mean, we should all be on the same page, and it's really just about trying to drive the level of competition up. And so, giving guys an avenue and letting them know what type of things we're looking for. It holds us more accountable to let people know, what what we're calibrating for, so that there's no secrets and people aren't, flabbergasted.
Just like any team, the best teams will rise to the top. The best teams will adjust and evolve and figure out the refs and the rules and the decision changes. And those are the teams that are going to dominate and do best. So we need to provide them the best platform to do that.
Okay, if there's no other questions, we're going to go ahead and end the broadcast.
All good.
All right. Thank you.